The nanny who changed everything. The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of the Hartwell mansion, casting golden streaks across the marble floors. But the peaceful light couldn't mask the chaos that lived within these walls. 3 small tornadoes in human form were about to claim another victim. James Hartwell adjusted his tie for the 4th time, watching from the doorway as Nanny number 17 gathered her belongings. Her face was pale, her hand shaking slightly as she folded her crisp, white uniform. "Mr. Hartwell," she said without meeting his eyes, "I simply cannot continue. The children are there." She paused, searching for diplomatic words. "They require someone with different skills than I possess." James nodded warily. He'd heard variations of this speech 17 times before. Behind him he could hear the distant sound of his 4-year-old triplets plotting their next adventure. A crash echoed from the playroom, followed by muffled giggles. "I understand," James said quietly. "Sarah will process your payment today." As Nanny number 17 hurried toward the door, James caught a glimpse of his reflection in the hallway mirror. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and his usually perfect hair showed signs of stress. Running a multi-million-dollar investment firm seemed simple compared to managing Lily, Emma, and Sophie. The triplets appeared at the top of the grand staircase like 3 small angels. Their blonde hair caught the light, and their matching blue eyes sparkled with innocence. But James knew better. Those cherubic faces hid minds that could outmaneuver any adult. "Daddy," Lily called sweetly, "why is the lady leaving?" "She had other places to be," James replied diplomatically. Emma bounced on her toes. "Can we make cookies now, without supervision?" Sophie added hopefully. "Absolutely not," James said firmly. "I have 3 important meetings today, and I need someone here to watch you." The triplets exchanged a look that James had learned to fear. It was the same look they'd shared before turning the last nanny's perfectly organized playroom into what appeared to be the aftermath of a glitter bomb explosion. James retreated to his study and opened his laptop. The nanny agency's website showed the same discouraging message: "No current candidates available for your position." Word had spread quickly through the nanny network. The Hartwell triplets were considered an impossible case. 2 hours later, as James attempted to conduct a video conference while preventing his daughters from decorating the cat with washable markers, the doorbell rang. "Stay here," he told the triplets sternly. "Do not move. Do not touch anything. Do not even breathe loudly." He opened the door to find a woman in her early 30s with warm brown eyes and a kind smile. She wore simple jeans and a soft sweater, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. A small girl with curly red hair stood beside her, clutching a worn stuffed rabbit. "Mr. Hartwell, I'm Grace Miller. I heard you might need some help with childcare." James blinked in surprise. "The agency didn't send you." Grace shook her head. "I heard about your situation through a friend. This is my daughter Mia. She's 6. Before James could respond, thundering footsteps announced the arrival of his triplets. They appeared in the doorway like a perfectly choreographed army, studying the newcomers with calculating eyes. "Are you here to take care of us?" Lily asked suspiciously. "We don't need taking care of," Emma added proudly. Sophie simply stared at Mia, who was hiding partially behind her mother's legs. Grace knelt down to the triplets' eye level, her movement slow and non-threatening. "I'm Grace, and this is Mia. We thought maybe we could all spend some time together today. Would that be okay?" The triplets looked at each other, then back at Grace. This was different. Previous nannies had arrived with clipboards and rules and schedules. Grace simply waited for their answer. "What do you want to do?" Sophie asked cautiously. "Well," Grace said thoughtfully, "Mia and I were thinking about building a fort, but we'd need some help. Fort building is pretty serious business." Mia stepped out from behind her mother slightly. "We brought blankets," she whispered for the first time in months. James watched his daughters' faces light up with genuine interest rather than mischief. "We could build the biggest fort ever," Lily breathed. "With secret passages," Emma added excitedly. "And a password," Sophie concluded. James found himself invited to inspect the fort construction an hour later. His former living room had been transformed into an elaborate blanket city, with carefully engineered tunnels and chambers. All 4 girls were inside, their voices creating a happy murmur. "The password is unicorn pancakes," Mia announced solemnly. "Unicorn pancakes," James repeated, crawling into the fort. Inside, he discovered organized chaos. Grace sat cross-legged in the center, a natural mediator as the girls planned their next architectural marvel. Her presence seemed to calm the triplets' usual frenetic energy, channeling it into collaborative creativity. "Mom used to be a teacher," Mia explained to the triplets. "She knows about building things and making stuff work." "Why did you stop teaching?" Lily asked with the directness only children possess. Grace's smile flickered slightly. "Sometimes, grown-ups have to make changes when things get difficult. But I loved working with children, so I'm hoping to find a new way to do that." James understood. Single mother probably struggling financially, looking for flexible work. But as he watched Grace naturally manage his daughter's competing personalities, he realized something else. She wasn't trying to control them. She was guiding them, showing them how to work together instead of against each other. The afternoon passed peacefully. For the first time in weeks, James completed his work without interruption. When he emerged from his study at 5 o'clock, he found all 4 girls in the kitchen. They were making sandwiches, with Grace patiently teaching proper knife safety to his daughters. "We made dinner, Daddy," Sophie announced proudly. "Mia taught us how to make flour sandwiches," Emma added, displaying a piece of bread cut into a daisy shape. "The crusts make good duck food," Lily explained, holding up a bag of collected scraps. James looked at Grace, who was quietly cleaning up the minor mess. "How?" he asked simply. Grace smiled. "They're not difficult children, Mr. Hartwell. They're intelligent children who were bored and looking for attention. They just needed someone to listen to what they actually wanted instead of imposing what adults thought they needed." That evening, after the triplets had gone to bed without their usual battle of wills, James found Grace and Mia in the living room. Mia had fallen asleep against her mother's shoulder, still clutching her stuffed rabbit. "The position pays well," James said quietly. "Very well. And there's a small apartment above the garage that you could use if you'd like. Good schools nearby for Mia." Grace looked up at him, hope flickering in her eyes. "Are you offering me the job? I'm offering you a home," James replied, "if you want it for both of you." 6 months later, the Hartwell house hummed with a different kind of energy. Laughter replaced chaos, and the sound of children playing happily drifted through the rooms. Grace had brought more than organization to their lives. She'd brought peace, warmth, and something James hadn't realized they'd been missing: the feeling of being a real family. And sometimes, late in the evening when the children were asleep, James would find Grace in the kitchen and they'd talk quietly about their days, their dreams, and the unexpected way love could arrive disguised as exactly what you needed most.